Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, because whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. till 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The broadcast is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact, until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, we thank you for your support and your commitment. And for those of you who use the QR code and the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for continuing to support the broadcast by giving by the link or the QR code. And we want to say to all of you, for your support and your commitment, we are here to support you with daily divine direction from God, a place where you can go and hear from God to receive daily divine direction, to address all the issues of life that you might find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. And so I'm going to begin by addressing a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. And before I do, I want to remind everyone we're Facebook Live, YouTube Live at Daily Divine Direction. And of course, you can reach us on our website at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com, where you can find all of the broadcasts that are live and archived for 365 days. And of course, our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who said, you feel that you and your husband have grown apart over the years. However, you are not certain how to reconnect. So here's what's important first and foremost is you made a comment in your communication, and the truth is you want to reconnect. So you're not doing what many people do, and I want to address this because this is for you and for all of our listeners and viewers. So often people feel when they've grown apart that it's time to end the marriage. And what all that really means is that often is that people are growing at a different pace, or they're growing in and developing in a different way. So it appears that maybe you're apart, but you're still together. What happens is often people then decide, well, I'm just going to go my separate way. That's not necessarily the answer. I realize, and I've often said to our listeners and viewers, that sometimes we join ourselves to God, to people that God did not join us to. That's when divorce happens. But the good news is you want to reconnect. So here's what you can do to reconnect. it doesn't, your perception of marriage doesn't have to be based on what society tells you marriage truly is. To reconnect, all you need to do simply is start doing some activities together. You don't have to do everything together. You still have the opportunity to grow and develop at your own pace. But all you have to do is find some activities you can do together. Find some common interests. Whether it is, going to an event together, going to a sporting event together, taking up fitness together. There are things you can do that don't require we don't want to make marriage or relationships a job. They don't require a lot of work. The only work you're doing in a relationship or in a marriage is building a great quality of life together. That's all, pure and simple. So you have to recognize that in order to stay connected so that your marriage can continue to thrive, all you have to do is find some common interests. There are things you can do that you can enjoy together, but it doesn't require you to be together all the time. It doesn't require you to try and grow at the pace he's growing or develop at the pace he's developing, or for him to develop at the pace you're developing or to grow at the pace you're growing. It just reminds you to remain connected as a family unit. So you can, as I said, whether it's a sporting event or whether you take up tennis together or whether you take up fitness together or running together. Or there are things that we all can do and certainly should do because we want to make certain that we are keeping our bodies right. Remember body, mind, and spirit. And you want to make sure that you remain a family unit. So those are things that you can do. Those are things that you can do together, activities you can do together that will keep you connected in life and allow you to continue to thrive in your marriage, because divorce is costly and it's not always necessary. People make divorce necessary. It's not always necessary. It is necessary when you've been joined to someone who God has not connected you to and they're abusive or they are just not making an effort to thrive. They're not, there are reasons for divorce. Divorce does happen. But in your case, disconnect doesn't mean that you have to dissolve the marriage. It just means that you have to reconnect. Reconnecting could be very simple, as I said. Start doing some activities together. So, I'll give you some personal examples now so that you can understand what really happened. So, many years ago, I'm talking decades ago, I always like to run, and because it's good exercise for me. My wife never wanted to be a runner. Although she's 5'9", and I always told her she would have been a good track athlete because of her body type, but she never wanted to be an athlete. She was always very studious. She was in, student government. She did all of the things that were necessary to get to a place of success in her career, in her relationship with the Lord, and in her career. But she just was never interested. She loved sports as a spectator. Never wanted to run. And I'll never forget when there came a time, one day, I would always go out to run, and one day I came downstairs to put my shoes on to run because we don't wear shoes in the house. And I came downstairs, I went to the shoe rack to get my running shoes, to put my running shoes on, and she said to me, "I'm going to go out and run with you today." I'm stunned because I had always asked her, would you like to run? She would always say no. And her response, her rebuttal was always, "Why do you do that when you have gas in the car?" So I would just continue running. One day she says to me, "I want to run. I want to go and run with you." So I took her out a half mile and a half mile back to our home, which meant she ran a mile. And then I kept going. I dropped her off at the house and I kept going. And then the next day I ran, she wanted to run again. And the next day I ran, she wanted to run again. And then she started running, and she took that on as another form of exercise. And it was something that she enjoyed doing. You know, I'm a marathon runner. She eventually, you know, so I would run other runs during the course of the year. We ran the Alzheimer walk and run. We ran a couple of runs together, and then she finally decided she was going to run a half marathon because that's all she had time to train for. You know, between taking care of the home and our children, and who are now adults, but, you know, between all of those things and her career, she was just like, I don't have time to train for a full marathon, but I'll run a half marathon. So that's something we enjoyed doing together. And even to this day, which decades later, she still will go out and run because it's something, you know, we can do. We can talk about what's going on in life and what our children are doing, and, you know, now our grandchild, and so those are things that you can do to stay connected as a family. You just got to find common interest, and whatever they might be. So I say to you, it's real easy to get reconnected. I know society tells you got to do all these things that involve a lot of money, like going on a marital retreat, or you know, doing something that involves a lot of time and effort. You know, to get her a new pair of running shoes to start her running, I guess, cost $130. That's not a whole lot of investment to stay connected and improve health and wellness. So you can do this. Just find out what it is that you would like to do. It might be the gym. We still work out together from time to time. We run together still from time to time when the opportunity permits. But the point I'm trying to make is there's something that you can do that will keep you connected. And it will also enhance your health and wellness if you try one of those active activities. Speaking of health and wellness, first of all, on tomorrow, first Thursday of the month, we have with us Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, who will be with us right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, BeccaTheDietitian.com, who will address a topic of diet and nutrition and also share some health and wellness tips with us. And we want to make sure that everyone's whole in their body, mind, and spirit. And it's the new year, so we're going to be delighted to have Becca the dietitian with us on the first Thursday of the month. Go to BeccaTheDietitian.com and you can see all the information that Becca shares. She accepts most major insurances, probably all major insurances, but you'll want to check that out also on her website at BeccaTheDietitian.com. So this segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a new automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, Go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will be able to virtually build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area and you're interested in owning a Porsche, which is the finest high-performance automobile manufactured, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager. He will make certain that someone assists you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area and you currently own a Porsche, go to PorscheDelaware.com. If you're in need of service, ask to speak to Mike Adams, service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that an appointment is scheduled for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle to you, and return your vehicle to you when your service is completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who said, you saw your ex for the first time in 5 years since he moved away. He returned to the area to visit, and you said he's looking good, successful, and well. However, you realize that your life is no different than when the two of you split. Okay, so let's examine that. You said it's been 5 years. He looks good, well, you said, looks healthy, and looks successful. He is successful. It's been 5 years. There's been some growth for him over those 5 years. There's been increase in his life over those 5 years. You said your life looks no different. And the reason is, and this is what I want not only you to grasp, but also all of our listeners and viewers. Your life looks the same as it did 5 years ago when you split. That's a telling point for you. That's a revelation for you. The revelation is that you've become stagnant. And part of the reason you become stagnant is because the people around you are stagnant. You know, we always use the analogy, you can't soar like an eagle if you hang out with turkeys. And the reason is because even though turkeys have wings, they don't fly. And so we use that analogy because you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. You're the average of them. So if you're spending time with people who are stagnant, and watch this, if your life hasn't changed in 5 years, look around you and the people that are around you, I would say that the people around you, 90% of them, maybe 90 to 100% of them, have not seen a change in their lives, in the level of their success in the last 5 years. They're no different than you are. But yet you spend all of your time with them because they're family, they're friends, they're people that you've been with for a very long time, and you can't get out of your comfort zone, which means you can't get out of your own way. So consequently, your success has been suffering because the people around you have suffering success. You've got to spend time with people who are accomplishing what you desire to accomplish. You have to surround yourself with people who are successful. The problem is most people, listen, there's a couple of issues about success. Most people are afraid of success. They don't want to change because they're afraid of success. Because when you become successful, you have to work twice as hard to maintain or to preserve or to enhance the success. Let me rephrase, to maximize the success you accomplish. You have to work twice as hard for that. there's going to be ebbs and flows, but you still have to work twice as hard. Having said that, you have to be constantly willing to continue moving forward to maximize your success. So most people get real comfortable right where they are, so they don't have to work any harder. And the other component is that when we stay among people who are like ourselves, we don't feel inferior. You know, we don't feel inferior, and so we're comfortable right there. You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I have people in my life who live at the same level I live, but then I have, and there's only those that are living at the level I live, because that's the level I choose to live on. But at the same time, I surround myself with people who have done so much more in business and had so much more success in what they're doing, because that becomes my inspiration. That becomes my inspiration, not to live at necessarily at the same level they're living because they make that choice. I choose to live at the level I'm living, no matter what my assets are. So I'm saying that you've got to still surround yourself with people who can inspire you to keep pushing forward, keep maximizing your success, so that we enter into the fullness of God, and then we can maximize the fullness of God. In other words, to the fourth and fifth generation. So that's the, I've seen people I have people in my life who started out with wealth. They're the third generation of wealth, and now their children are the fourth generation of wealth. I didn't start out there. So now I have to live my life to not only experience the fullness of God, but to maximize the fullness of God into the fourth and fifth generation. So that's my calling. That my children's children's children unto the fourth and fifth generation. That's all of our calling. See, that's what we've missed. We've missed that we have a responsibility. So we're living on the backs of those who have, where we are right now is a result of what the generations before us have done. They got us to a place where we were on the playing field. Forget about whether it was level or not. There was a time when, our ancestors weren't even able to step on the field. They weren't even allowed on the field. Matter of fact, they weren't even allowed in the parking lot. But because of the work they put in and the effort that they put in to live through torment and to get to a place where they could say, there is a field, we've seen it, we know it's there, we want to work to get you to the parking lot so that you can enter into the stadium. So I'm using this analogy to say it's been a hard journey for many of us who didn't start out with a silver spoon in our mouths. Many of us who started out in an economically challenged environment. Many of us who, started out in poverty. But you don't have to remain in poverty. Now, the poor will always be among us. There are some people that are just never going to overcome poverty. They'll stay right where they are because that's a comfortable place for them. Because outside of that requires much more of you. The reason there's been no difference in your life since he moved away is because you've been comfortable with the people in your life. I use all of those people around me who are, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. I use the example of their lives to continue to inspire me. Not really looking at them particularly, but what's been established before them and now after them. Because that's the example that I can use for the generations to come. And I'm not even, my family's going to be fine. I'm not even concerned about them. We're concerned about others, the generations to come. And the reason is because everyone's not going to have the same mentality. And that is that we all have a responsibility to experience the fullness of God and then maximize the fullness of God. And if we can do that in our own families and then get to the point where our families are done, then we can work on our philanthropic endeavors of helping others. So that's got to be the key. For you, it's just real simple. You've got to get around some different people. You've got to really decide, listen, I love the people in my life and I'll continue to love them, but I can no longer, watch this, because you're going to have to be accountable for this yourself. I can no longer do what we've always done and expect life to be any different. Even for yourself. Not even talking about the next generation, just for yourself. At some point, you've got to say, I want more than this. I want the fullness of God. You've been getting some particles. Even the particles have been limited. But you've been getting some particles. But you got to want the fullness. And in order to have the fullness, you've got to make a decision today. You know, what's really interesting to me is, for those of us who are in a relationship with the Lord and those of us who are saved, and we understand that all of this talk about being blessed and highly favored, you're not really blessed and highly favored until not just God gives you enough provision for yourself, but that your cup runneth over. Now, I know I'm going to get some emails about that one, and I'm delighted to hear from all of you, because you can reach out to me at newlifepastor@comcast.net, or call me or text me on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. This year, I'm going to get everyone into a new frame of mind. And I'm going to say some things that I know people aren't going to like, because we've been doing the same things the wrong way for so long, we think it's the right way to do them. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. Remember, tomorrow with us live in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, BeccaTheDietitian.com. Rebecca Bouva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, will join us right here. Have a great day today. May God bless you. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. Have a great day. God bless you. Remember, we are Facebook Live, YouTube Live at Daily Divine Direction, and we want you to stay connected with us on our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, Faith Empowerment Radio, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, music that will encourage you,